So, happy Monday morning. I'm not a morning person either, by the way. I guess we can start. So this is a copy of the syllabus. I counted something like 26 people-ish that signed up, so I printed 45 copies. Maybe it's enough, maybe it's not. Let me know if you need a copy and you didn't get one. It looks like it's going to be very close to the right amount, but I'm not sure. Oh, I need a copy. Thanks. And this is the attendance register, so if you see your name on here, please sign next to your name. If you don't see your name on here, you can add your name and signature. I think that's the right one. So welcome to data visualization on Monday morning. Everybody in the right place? This last time I checked, this module is worth 15 credits. It's Target Teaching Lot 1. We have approximately 20 lectures. And we have Monday at 9 a.m. and Thursdays at 1600 hours. I don't choose the times. I used to choose the times, but I don't anymore. We have an optional lab, so the lab is not obligatory. You may or may not go, it's up to you. There will be no lab tomorrow, just to make sure everybody knows that. I hope that I cancel it on the College of Science intranet, but sometimes I forget that there is no lab tomorrow since you have no coursework that I'm giving out today. Congratulations.
What would be happening for this?
As soon as I hand out the coursework, so hopefully then it will start. Yeah, so this week it's off, but it will be manageable for 2 weeks. It will always be optional though, always. We have a teaching assistant, a very gifted, beautiful teaching assistant whose name is Richard Roberts. Anybody met Richard Roberts? When you do meet him, you'll be a luckier person for that. And you can send him email and make an appointment with him if you want, but he'll be visiting the optional labs. There's Blackboard, right? There's a web page for this module, right? If you go to my web page and you click on teaching, and then you scroll down to data visualization, you can find the module web page, right? And there's lots of information on there about visualization books, assessed coursework, visualization links. Like if you're interested in just seeing more about visualization before we get into the details, there are lots of things about information visualization and scientific visualization and so on. This module also has its own YouTube channel. So if you're wondering about the YouTube channel, You can check out some of the visualization stuff on the YouTube channel. So you can find a copy of the introductory lecture on the YouTube channel, introductory lecture part 2. You can find answers to student questions there and lots of other interesting things. We are putting all the material, the lecture material, the slides and everything on Blackboard. So if you haven't tried out Blackboard yet, you want to make sure you can log into Blackboard. Your username and password are working. And I guess as soon as you register for the module, then a link to the module material appears on your Blackboard page. And there's some more supplementary material on YouTube. And I forgot to say my name. That's why it's on here, so I don't forget. Bob Laramie, just call me Bob. My office is in room 508 Faraday Tower. I have a telephone number for emergencies. My office hours, I will announce them as soon as I know them. And I have an email address. If you're trying to decide what would be good modules to take with this module, the graphics processor programming is a nice module that fits together well here, and the high performance computing is another nice module that complements this module. It's not mandatory, but some people ask me, oh, what other modules fit well with this one? And those are 2. The assessment is 50% coursework and 50% exam. So there are going to be 3 courseworks, 1 information visualization coursework, a scientific viz coursework, and a flow viz coursework. So 3 of those. And we'll give those details out as the semester progresses. And then the test is theoretical, and that will be 50% of the grades. So this is a good module if you're one of those students that prefers coursework over tests. I happen to be one of those people. I like coursework. Actually, if I was deciding all by myself, it would be only coursework and no tests. We have some recommended textbooks. So the first one's called Interactive Data Visualization, Foundations, Techniques, and Applications. The second edition by Matt Ward et al. So that's a very good, if you're looking for a book to support this module, that's a very good book. And you can get used copies of that book for less money than new ones. Another good book is called Data Visualization Principles and Practice, second edition by Alex Talea. Both of those are relatively new books. If you only had to choose one, you would choose, I guess, the first one for this module. There are some other good books in data visualization, just in case you're interested. One's called the Visualization Toolkit. Another one's called the Visualization Handbook. Actually, there's lots of books coming out on data visualization these days. Lots and lots and lots of books, because it's getting very popular, this topic. There are some interesting research papers about data visualization, and here's a list of them. You can get all of these papers using Google, but I'll also post them on Blackboard. So there's a copy on Blackboard if you want. And then there's sort of a weekly plan on page 3. What's the topics we're going to be covering and when we're going to be talking about them. You'll notice in week 5 that we're going to have some guest lecturers. I don't know who yet, but hopefully we're going to have some high quality guest lecturers. I'm still talking to those prospective guest lecturers to find out when they're going to speak and what they're going to talk about. Yeah, and we have introductory topics. The module is sort of kind of divided up into 4-ish parts. Introductory topics, information visualization, volume visualization, and flow visualization. Those are the sort of the 4 main subheadings for all the material. Does that make sense? Excellent. Did everybody get a copy of the syllabus? One person did not? Only two or three. Okay, so there's more than 45 people here. Okay. I will put a copy of the syllabus on Blackboard. And I thought that 45 would be enough. I know that the first lecture is like everybody, lots of people are just testing it out to see if they want to sign up. But I thought 20 extra copies would cover everybody. Well, I have one more copy. Who needs a copy over here? And the attendance register, is that floating around somewhere? Who has the attendance sheets? Yeah, but I passed a piece of paper around. Okay, it's still going around. Okay, good. Any questions so far? Sounds very exciting so far? It does. It is exciting, actually. So here's a copy of the lecture notes for the first week. There are 45 copies. They're going to be on Blackboard too. There already is a set of them on Blackboard, but they're last year's. So let's jump right in to some fun stuff. Has anybody here ever had a job? Okay, if you've had a job, then you'll like this slide better. If you've never had a job, it might be a little bit abstract. Maybe not. But it's called a ubiquitous pattern of knowledge evolution. It sounds very fancy. It's not very fancy. It's very down to earth. And it's very real. It's very concrete. Well, I guess that's debatable. But if you look around, you'll notice this pattern everywhere. This is why data visualization is so exciting. Because of this pattern. That's everywhere. And at least everywhere that has electricity. It would be interesting to test this theory in places that don't have electricity. It might still hold. So these are 6 stages of knowledge, let's say, or knowledge development. So knowledge development starts out with a real world challenge. A problem you're trying to solve, maybe, or something you're trying to develop. Maybe you're trying to build a car, right? Or maybe you're trying to study marine wildlife to figure out what they're doing. Or maybe you're trying to figure out what's happening in a call center, the behavior inside of a call center. Just some real world challenge that you're trying to solve, right? Or a goal you're trying to reach, or a problem that you're trying to address, right? All companies, and that's why I mentioned the jobs, all companies have goals. They have products they want to sell. And researchers have understandings that they want to reach. They have observations that they want to make. So that's the first stage of knowledge development, right? Trying to solve a problem or address a challenge. And often, when we're trying to solve a problem or address a challenge, there's an analog or physical solution, or something like this. So if we're trying to build a car, we build a car, right, out of metal and lots of other things. In the case of maybe psychology, trying to understand the brain, study the brain, the physical solution to that would be to watch the brain, like cut people open and slice up the brain and take photographs of it and try to understand it, right? That happens, does happen. If we're trying to understand the behavior of deep sea wildlife, right, we might try to build a submarine and follow them around or something like this. So for every challenge, there's some physical or what we might call analog solution. But as soon as we search for a physical or analog solution, we might notice some limitations, right? So for example, in the case of building cars, it's very expensive to build a car, right? It's very, especially the prototypes. In the case of studying the behavior of somebody's brain, it would be nice to be able to study somebody's brain without slicing it up and actually modifying the physical brain, right? It would be nice. For marine wildlife, you can't really study marine wildlife when the depth of the water gets too deep, right? It's not possible. We can't swim around underwater, follow marine wildlife around. It's just not possible, right? Sometimes physical approaches to our problems are not even possible. They might be impossible. They lead to problems like they're too expensive, or it's impossible, or it would take too long. So that's the second stage of the knowledge evolution. And by the way, I hope this all sounds familiar to you. You all have real world challenges and things that you try to solve. The third stage is a realization that there might be a better way to solve a problem or address a challenge than using a physical or analog approach. So we jump over the dotted line from the physical or analog world to the digital world to try to come up with some digital or software solution. Right? For the building cars example, there's a field of engineering called computational fluid dynamics. Has anybody ever heard of that? Computational fluid dynamics. That's building cars in software. Virtual reality. Everybody's heard about virtual reality, right? That's a digital solution. Everybody's heard the term smart city, right?
Yeah.
Smart cities, so using digital sensors to make better use of our infrastructure. Maybe tell us where free parking spaces are, or where there are traffic jams, or when to turn on and off the traffic lights and turn lights green and red, and so on. Those are all digital solutions to physical problems to make allocating our resources more properly. So that's the fourth stage. Everybody knows about digital solutions. Everybody knows about this. They think, oh, there must be a way to solve this problem using software or some combination of hardware and software. A lot of people just are looking to their mobile phones for the answers now. Oh, there must be an Android app that solves this problem for me. That's the digital world. Now, the digital world has another symptomatic problem. Whenever we create a digital solution to a physical problem, a real world challenge, we end up in this next phase of knowledge evolution that I call data chaos. So all those digital solutions generate massive amounts of data. So if you work somewhere, you'll notice that your employer was collecting massive amounts of data that they couldn't handle. Right? If you talk to a researcher at this university, you'll notice they're all collecting massive amounts of data. And it turns into chaos when the amount of data gets too large. Right? Has anybody here lost a photograph, like a digital photograph before? Have you ever lost a file, like you had a file and you lost it? right? Probably you were working on an essay and it was 24 hours before the deadline and you lost. It's not that kind of loss. Anyway. So the digital solutions, everybody's coming up with digital solutions to all their problems, and those digital solutions lead to a new problem called data chaos. And to solve the problem of data chaos, we need data visualization. So we need data visualization to understand the crazy chaos of data that's just all pervasive in this day and age. Right? And we're going to spend the rest of the module talking about that. Talking about the transition from data chaos to the visualization cosmos, or data visualization. And because this is a ubiquitous pattern that you will see everywhere for the rest of your life, visualization is an exciting topic these days. It's in very, very high demand. Really, it's exploding right now. It's exciting. It's a good field to be in, and there's a lot of money. Not like crazy amounts of money, but you're guaranteed a job if you have the skill set in data visualization. So I get approached all the time by academics and companies saying, we have they don't say literally, we have a data chaos problem, but they do say, look, we have lots and lots of data, and we're stuck. It's too big, it's too complicated, and we are hoping that visualization can pull us out of this problem, right? Happens all the time, and one company even paid me £5,000 just to find a student that they could hire in data visualization. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? So there's a serious demand for skills in data visualization. It's very applied too. Is everybody motivated now to learn about this topic? It's very inspired. Wow. This is, if you look for this pattern, you'll see it everywhere. It's everywhere. These are some of the places that you can see it, but you haven't, anybody have friends in engineering? Engineering is so far away now. Say bye to your friends. You'll see this, engineers are grappling with this problem, right? The CFD engineers are generating endless amounts of CFD data. You'll see this in the physics community, right? They're generating endless amounts of data. Marine biologists, the marine biology department at Swansea University is a very popular department, and they generate lots and lots of data, and they look to visualization for solutions. You'll see this in the psychology department, the sociology department. The more you look, you can see this in the sports science department, or if any sports science, talk to any sports scientist, you can find this problem in the arts and humanities, right? The library is a data set, right? It's a data set. You'll find this phenomenon inside governments and councils, right? Swansea City Council, banks. So even if you aren't, let's say, collecting the data yourself, lots of people are collecting data about you, right? Every time you make a financial transaction, every time you do anything with money, that data is stored and being used by the banks, right? Call centers, everybody calls call centers, right? They're collecting your information. Have you ever made a phone call and then you heard some voice say, or a machine say, this call may be recorded for training purposes, right? That's data being collected about you, right? Every time you go shopping, anybody here go shopping, all that data is being collected about you, right? To see if there are more clever ways to extract more of your money. Websites, every time you visit a website, right, that information is stored in a database, probably 3 databases. transportation, every time you go somewhere, every time you go to the NHS. You also collect photos, like selfies, everybody collects selfies, videos, and files, right? People like to collect. This is part of the data chaos factor. Is people just like to collect things, right? They collect things even if they might not even know why. They just do. Anybody here collect things? Exactly. What do you collect?
Trading cards.
Trading cards. Exactly. My grandparents on my mom's side told us that we should collect something. Right? They collected stuff. So they said, you should collect stuff too. So I collected stuff. Right? My oldest brother collected coins. They helped him collect coins. My second oldest brother collected stamps. By the time I came along, they ran out of good ideas. So they told me I should collect keys. I didn't realize when I was, 5 years old that they ran out of good ideas. But I just collected keys until I threw them all away. Or recycled them one day. Anyways, people like to collect. So that's also part of the motivation behind data visualization and why it's such a great topic. There's another piece of the motivation puzzle. It's our brain, right? The visual system is processed by the visual cortex. It's the part of the brain responsible for processing all the visual information, right? It's at the back. So visualization is exploiting our visual system. Right? We have several billion neurons devoted to analyzing visual information. So roughly 30% of the cortex. Now, saying, shouting out several billion is not really that meaningful. But if you compare the amount of cortex dedicated to the visual processing with touch, 8% for touch or 3% for hearing, it's very dominant, right? So much more of our brain is devoted to visual processing than for the other senses. And that makes it more important, or it makes it very important. So we may as well take advantage of that. So there's a correspondence between data visualization, which is all about visual information. Is the attendance register still making the way? Good. So just one slide about the history. I guess no class is complete without some mentioning of history. Right? Manual data visualization has been around for a long time, right? Some people consider cave drawings a type of visualization. I think that's true too. Cave drawings are a type of manual visualization. This is a manual visualization, somebody hand drawing fluid flow, right? Leonardo da Vinci, maybe you've heard of him, drawing fluid flow through a square cylinder. So we're not talking about necessarily manual visualization, we're talking about computer-aided visualization, right? We won't use the term computer-aided visualization, we'll drop the computer-aided part and just say make visualization or data visualization. Right, it's been its own discipline since 1987. This is usually the year people cite as the beginning of it as a field. Field. The first visualization conference happened in 1990, right? And you're all familiar with some data visualization. You've all used pie charts and bar charts and line charts. So we're going to talk about everything after the pie charts and the bar charts and the line charts. Those are good tools, but they have limitations when data set sizes become too big or too complicated, or maybe they're time dependent. So here's an example data visualization. Has anybody here been to the doctor before and had something like an X-ray or an MRI scan or something like that? Right. So this is CT data, right? This is that the digital solution that we mentioned in the pattern of knowledge evolution. So rather than cutting the human body open and looking inside with a camera, which does happen, by the way. Anybody heard of the Visible Human Project? That's where a male and a female dedicated their bodies to science. So when they died, they said, you have permission to slice up my body into millimeter width slices and take a high resolution photo, high definition photo of each slice and put it on the web. So we're going to actually mention that again in this module. Here's another example of vector data. So that was medical data, this is vector data. That means every data sample has a magnitude and a direction, right? Flow visualization. Anybody recognize what that thing is? This is a difficult question for this audience. Anybody recognize what that object might be? Where's the attendance register? It's still going on. Everybody sign it? Nice. Anybody here like drive a car? Does anybody like cars? Are there any? What are those people that like cars called? There's a name for people that like cars, work on cars. Gearhead. Is that what they are? Yeah, gearhead. Well done. You said that. Well done. Gearhead. I think that's the right one. Gosh, my memory is really good. This is a combustion chamber inside of an engine, or the simulation of combustion inside of an engine. So it's not the actual, it's a virtual or digital version of that. We're going to talk about the visualization of abstract data. So abstract data has no physical form necessarily. It doesn't correspond to a physical object. Do you have a question right there? So we're going to talk about fancy information visualization techniques. If there are any questions or comments, just interrupt me at any time. It's no big deal. So visualization goals. So the goals or the strengths. By the way, I would put a star on this slide. This is a sometimes on the test. If there's only one slide that you remember from this module, this is a good one. So the visualization has at least 4 goals or 4 strengths. One is to explore data, to offer an exploration tool. And this is if you're given a data set, like in assignment 1, and you don't know anything about it, and you want to figure out what's happening or what it looks like, if there are any patterns, if there are any trends, any outliers in the data, that's an exploration process, and visualization is good for exploration. It's also good for analysis. So this is the case where somebody has collected data with a special purpose in mind, and they're already experts. They're an expert data collector, and they know what they're collecting and why they're collecting it. And they want to use visualization to confirm or refute a hypothesis. For example, when do people go shopping? When should we offer sales, right? So a hypothesis might be everybody goes shopping on Saturdays. Let's see. Right? And visualization can be used to confirm or refute that hypothesis. Visualization can also be used to present data. So this is after the exploration is done or some exploration has happened, maybe some analysis has happened by an expert, and we want to communicate the results to public or wider audience. Has anybody seen the documentary called Inconvenient Truth? So there's a lot of data collection in there and presentation in there. It's an interesting sort of example of the presentation part of visualization. And visualization also serves to accelerate. So it serves to take a process and make it much quicker. Maybe you're searching for something. You're looking for something. If I gave you a spreadsheet with 60,000 rows and 20 columns, and you had to find something, that would be a good coursework. Like, please find like something in this spreadsheet. You know, but it would have to be a little bit, not just a Control F kind of find. Like, so for example, like find the two successive rows that are closely matched, or something like this. The two most similar rows, something like that. The visualization helps to speed any process up, especially search processes. Right? You can find things using visualization that might either take a long time or be impossible without visualization. We will see examples of that. So we sort of mentioned this already. We have three main subfields: volume visualization, flow visualization, and information visualization. At some universities, these will be three different modules, actually. So probably that will happen someday at Swansea University, where we have like an information visualization module, a scientific visualization module. But for now, we just cover everything in one module. So in the scientific visualization, the data has an inherent geometry. So that means that every data sample has a special position in space and time. And the position in space and time is important. For example, when you get an X-ray, right, the position of your bones is important. Right? If you find that your leg bone is like over here, then the doctor will say there's something wrong. Right? That's scientific visualization. The position of every data sample is very important. In information visualization, there might not be any inherent geometry. So when you go to the bank and you withdraw money, and you get your financial statement that shows you how little money you have, that data doesn't have a special position in space that's really important.
Just the figure we can find out. This is the figure in my account.
You have no money left?
No.
What did you say?
I was just saying, if it's something related with the information visualization, like a bank transaction, we cannot get any idea about the. There's no matter of the position, just we follow the figure or amount and the statistics.
That's right. There's no. Let's say the geometry is not very important. Yeah. The exact X, Y, Z location of that data, it might not be given. It might not be given at all. So usually any data that's stored in a database is usually, or in an Excel spreadsheet, right? Maybe the university collects all of your data, right? You all have a record, like your date of birth and your exam results and stuff. That's all information, right? right, that has no special geometry, right? So information visualization, it's scientific visualization. Does that make sense? Hopefully. What time is it? Okay, good. So we have one more pipeline. You saw the knowledge evolution, ubiquitous pattern of knowledge evolution pipeline, sort of like pipeline, kind of. This is a different kind of pipeline. It's called the visualization pipeline, and this is the typical processing stages that we go through in order to go from the data chaos to the visualization cosmos. So what do we have to do to get there? We have to go through these sort of standard phases. One's called data acquisition. This is something you all know about, collecting data, right? Collecting. So at some point, if we want to do data visualization, we're going to need to get data, right? Data is produced or required. It often happens that the data is modified somehow to make it nicer or to make it more systematic. Maybe some errors are removed, or some missing data is filled in, or some strange anomalies are fixed. That's the data enhancement stage. Visualization mapping. So this is when we take the enhanced data and we transform it into something visual, like points, lines, edges, triangles, colors, opacity. And then finally, we do something called rendering, which is computer graphics. So, has anybody here taken computer graphics before? Good. So this is computer graphics. How do we render those nice, beautiful images? Right? The focus of this module is on the visualization mapping. But it is related to computer graphics. So computer graphics, it's worth mentioning the difference here. Visualization is using computer graphics to generate images of data. That's what visualization is doing. How is that different from computer graphics? Does anybody already know the answer? Who took the computer graphics module? Does anybody want to guess what the difference is between computer graphics and database? Good to know. So when we think of computer graphics, what do we think of? Let's see, what are some of the things that pop into mind?
A GUI? A GUI?
A GUI. Really? Is that what pops into your mind when I say computer graphics? GUI?
As in a image that you can appreciate with the eyes rather than just a plain text
That's correct.
output. That's what I was trying to.
Or
Phrase.
animation.
Animation. How about Lord of the Rings? That's what everybody thinks about when they hear computer graphics, right? Lord of the Rings, the best movie of all time.
Not so sure.
And you also think about your favorite games, right?
Games.
Angry Birds,
Yeah.
or those games. I know you guys all play those games, right, on a daily basis. And some of you are unhealthily addicted to those games. I've met many people, students especially, that are unhealthily addicted to those games. So that's computer graphics. Computer graphics uses up these nice machines to generate images of fiction. fictitious images of games and films. That's usually what graphics is doing. Visualization is trying to make pictures that depict non-fiction or reality, something that really exists. So that's the key difference between visualization and graphics. So a little bit more detail. So data acquisition, we already saw that data, if we look around, data is generated everywhere. Everywhere. Right? It doesn't matter where you look, who you talk to. Sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what data are you generating? Right? I know it's coming. Especially if I'm talking to somebody on a professional level. I know that they have data chaos, and they're challenged by that. I know it, and it doesn't matter who I'm talking to, I know it. Right? So data is acquired. Data is measured, for example, computer tomography or magnetic resonance imaging. It might be written down, it might be stored in the library, right? The library is the data set. It might be given by a user, right? How often do you have to fill out forms? Like you fill out forms every day, right? It might be provided by a simulation, it might be modeled. Videos and images on your phone, that's all data as well. Right? So data is acquired. Data enhancements, right? You want, if you have a collection of 10,000 selfies on your phone, you want to sort them somehow, right? You want them to be all the same resolution, and you want them to be all, you edit them, right, with Instagram, right? You enhance them, make the colors a little bit more vivid, right? Take out the imperfections, right? That's really examples of data enhancement, right? You do this every day, actually, right? You make sure the photos are just right. It can also include things like filtering or smoothing. You do that with your photos too, by the way. You might discover errors and fix them, right? This happens a lot in data collection. Missing values might be handled somehow, either they're thrown away or they're filled in. Resampling might happen. So we're not going to talk about that in detail today, but that's a transformation. We might derive new data from the existing data, new statistics. And data interpolation is constructing a smooth data set out of a discrete data set. And then we have our visualization mapping. We take the data and we start to make it visual. So for every number, we generate something visual like a point, a line, an edge, a triangle, a shape, a polygon, a cube, a tetrahedron, and different colors, different sizes, different shapes, different opacities, all these different things. Right? We can compute these shapes, we can compute surfaces, we can compute glyphs or icons, we can compute graphs. Everybody's seen graphs before. And we can compute voxel or pixel. Everybody's heard of pixels before. Attributes. So that's the third stage of the visualization pipeline. And I think we're going to stop there today. Any questions? Okay, happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your exciting first day of the semester.
This week only.